One,
Two,
3,
4,
5,
6.
With the new TSA rules, you have 3 choices when you go through security. 1, you can receive a full body pat-down. 2, step an X-ray scanner. Or 3, you can drive. If you refuse to go through the X-ray scanning, you must then be fully patted down from head to toe by a TSA personnel. If you refuse both, then you have the choice of being escorted out and not flying. These 3 options don't give you much of a choice. It's either their way or the highway, literally. The TSA is pretty much saying they don't trust you or anyone else for that matter. They are taking your own free will away and invading your personal space by patting you down from head to toe. These scanners make it so they can not only see what you are hiding, but what is underneath your clothes, as well as your private areas. What if you don't want someone looking at you? Or what about your children? Would you like someone seeing your children's private areas? Or patting down your child? I know I wouldn't. But the TSA is basically saying, tough luck, you don't have a choice. The body scanners are supposed to be there to protect the people who are flying. The images are scanned, cannot be seen by anyone but a TSA personnel who is walled off in an area not visible to the public, and they never interact with the passenger. The TSA personnel assisting the passenger doesn't see the scanned image, but does that make it okay? The photos are never seen by anyone, and if they were seen, you would not be able to tell who is in the picture. The only thing that is visible in the picture is whether or not the person is a man or a woman. So why are these images necessary if they cannot be scanned, saved, exported, or printed? If you choose not to go through the body scanner, you are subjected to a full body pat-down. The pat-down is conducted by the same gender TSA officer. The officer has gone through training of how to conduct a pat-down, and they will do it professionally and respectfully. But they are required to touch you in places strangers should not be allowed to touch. Passengers have the right to request a private screening with a witness of their choice. While most Americans support the new security efforts, there are still those who think they have a right to their own personal space. In a recent public opinion survey done by USA Today, which you can find at usatoday.com, 4 out of 5 people approve of the machines, and 7 out of 10 frequent flyers support the use of these machines and pat-downs. But you still have those 3 out of 10 people who do not feel comfortable with the screenings and pat-downs. The body scanners can see metallic objects and non-metallic objects. They also can see gels, liquids, and powders. These things that are normally not picked up by a metal detector or a pat-down. But did you know that it can also show any implant that someone might have, or any feminine products a woman might be wearing? So yes, ladies, they can tell when you're on your period. And what if you have a health problem that makes it so you can't go through the scanner? Then you choose not to go through the scanner for personal or health reasons. And the TSA personnel listening to you, or when you try to tell them about a medical problem that they need to watch out for before they pat you down or in your personal space. What are you supposed to do if you have a health problem that requires you to wear a urostomy bag or an insulin pump? You don't have a choice of going through the machine, so you're required to get the pat down. But do the TSA personnel that are patting you down watch out for what they're patting at? For one man, they didn't listen. When he tried to warn them of his medical issue, a bladder cancer survivor, Thomas Sawyer, who now wears a urostomy bag, which collects his urine in a small bag from his stomach, he had to be patted down, and when he tried to warn them not to touch the tube, or it will break, they didn't listen, and the bag was fondled by a TSA agent. The urine spilled all over Sawyer's clothes. Would you want to be Sawyer? How would you feel standing in an airport with urine all over you? The TSA personnel didn't even listen to Sawyer. This accident could have been avoided if they would have stopped and listened to him. But now he is covered in urine and is probably embarrassed by the fact that he looks like he just wet himself. For other people, such as my little sister, who has to wear an insulin pump at all times because she is diabetic, she has to be patted down also. So what if the TSA were not to listen to her and touch one of the tubes and disconnect it or break it by catching their finger on it? She would have to change the whole insulin site. I'm sure the TSA is not going to pay to replace it, what they just broke. And like Tom Sawyer, the medical equipment is not cheap. And who's going to pay for that? My sister, or he is. The new procedures are being put in place and are meant to protect the citizens who are flying. But if the TSA personnel will not listen to you when you try to warn them of a health problem, they could be putting your life in danger. With the scanners, the TSA has high chances of catching the threats and catching people who may not look at or act suspicious and are planning on something. The TSA has taken an American right and turned it into a wrong. Privacy is no longer private with the TSA checking up on you. In a survey done by LA Times, which you can find at latimesblogs.latimes.com, only 36% of those surveyed said that they don't want to be scanned because the scanners are a gross invasion of privacy. According to the survey, those 36% of Americans are against the new scanners. This is surprising. You would think that more people would be against the privacy being taken from us. Even though the scanners are safer and they help find things that metal detectors can't, and they see things that wouldn't otherwise be seen, they are an invasion of privacy and should not be used. In conclusion, the TSA has given you three choices: be scanned, be patted down, or drive. They have taken an American right and turned it into a wrong. The scanners can see things that are metal, that metal detectors cannot. Liquids, gels, and plastics. But who really wants to be scanned if you can refuse? The TSA personnel may not listen to you about your medical problems, and if you refuse both TSA regulations, you can hit the highway. Are there any questions? TSA stands for Transportation Security Administration. Can you repeat your question?
What procedures do they use for people in wheelchairs?
For people in wheelchairs, they use pat-downs and explosive trace scanning because the wheelchairs are not able to go through the metal detectors or through the scanners.
The items are not allowed to take on an airplane.
Items that aren't allowed to be taken are firearms, sharp objects, sporting goods, tools, martial arts and self-defense items, explosives, flammables, disabling chemicals, and other dangerous items.